I-86 After Dark recommends simply the best cleaning services. Call 716-912-6940. Western New York's cleaning and restoration leader. From Buffalo to Long Island, this is I-86 After Dark.
Welcome to I-86 After Dark, everybody. Of course, you got me, the Ginger Hammer. You got the Great Dane, Buffalo Bob. And we're going to have a fun night because we've got some guests coming on. And, of course, we got a lot of hockey news, especially over the past couple of days. A lot of football stuff. But, guys, how's it going?
I am fantastic, and other than having to do with you the other night, because we did an interview that shall not be said until the next couple of months, but other than that, I'm doing okay in general.
All right, cool. Dame, how's it going?
Yeah, I had a pretty good week. We had our bar meetup on Thursday. The Islanders actually won against the Ducks. Unfortunately, a player got hurt. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. But we're looking forward to having the Islanders come into town in Buffalo this Saturday. So we're going to do a little pregame meetup at Hofbrauhaus House starting at 2 p.m.
Nice. Yeah, and if anyone's ever not been to Hofbrauhaus House, definitely go there and drink plenty of beer because they have some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been there whenever I went to Buffalo, Tom. I don't think.
Yeah, I will say this. Easily one of the places I can get drunk very quickly. So I can tell you that. The liter of beer.
Because they give you those liter size.
Yeah,
beers,
the liter of beer.
You get pretty fucked up fast.
Yeah, and they got some pretty good food over there too. I will say that.
I actually like the food better than the beer. So.
Yeah. I was actually invited there once with one of my former coworkers. There was actually a party over there, so I ended up figuring, hey, I'll go over there and drink up a little bit, and yeah, those liter of beers will hit you pretty quick. So, but of course, we're gonna get started with everybody, and of course, Around the Ropes with John and Jeff. We feature their show on our I-86 network as well. They're saying hi. Hey, John, if you're around, get your ass on here. Let's have some fun. So. We'll go ahead and get started here. So, of course, if you guys want to comment, we're live. Feel free to drop a line as we go through. In the 8:30 hour, we're going to have Seymour H. Knox IV and Gil Martin joining us for our Sabres Islanders preview. But let's get started with some of the latest news in hockey. And one of the biggest things that happened, if you're a Sabres fan, you are saying praise the Lord because GM Kevin Adams got his ass fired finally. And in his place, Jarmo Kekalainen. And they may not be done with a lot of changes, but just wanted to see if you guys had a chance to take a look at the press conference, because I'll tell you one thing, Kekalainen sounds a million times smarter than Adams ever did.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you know what, too? I look at that press conference and I'm like thinking, finally, somebody reminded Terry that he actually has to run a hockey team. And sure enough, he fires his bitch. He fired his personal butler, and he just been told to fuck off. And Jarmo Kekalainen, who has 20, 35 years of experience as an executive in hockey just in general, great move by the Sabres overall. I think that, if they press the right buttons within the next 6 months, maybe a year, I could see the Sabres being competitive.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, Dan, what do you think?
Well, at least the adults are back in the room. Let's put it that way. He hired, Terry Pegula hired Kevin Adams with absolutely no executive experience. I think possibly one of us three could have done a better job as the Sabres GM over the last 5 years.
Yeah, seriously, any of us, even collectively, we could have run that organization better. But definitely a couple things I picked out of the press conference when I had a chance to take a look at it yesterday. And one, I like the fact that Terry barely said anything, so that's good. Jarmo actually took a lot of questions. The Sabres actually had the room mic'd up, so you could actually hear the questions, which never happened when Adams was around. And then Yarmo has a plan. He actually went into details of what he wants the team identity to be, what he expects from the club. He basically talked about games we should have won this year because we got outworked, which getting outworked is unacceptable. And I also like the fact we're going back to a 2 goaltender roster, so that's good. But another thing to take a look at, everybody is under review, which means Lindy Ruff is probably going to be gone at some point, or they might put him in the front office. Who knows? But change is definitely not done with this club, and that's the impression I get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm under the impression that Kekalainen wants to build a foundation, and let's be honest with ourselves here. Anybody who's been watching the Sabres for the last 30 years or so, 25 years, even going to the last 10, 15 years, they haven't had any real, like, competent, like, men literally running the front office. Not since, like, Rick Gere. And I know calling Rick Gere competent is a compliment to Kevin Adams or to someone else in general, but I feel like at this point now, they needed to finally get their shit together. Otherwise, then it just would have been a really big, disastrous, hiring overall. But I do want to see Yarmo succeed, and I think he's going to be very aggressive. And I think that was one thing he's always done in Columbus, was that he's always been that guy that brought in big names, whether it's through trade or free agency. He's always had his priorities straight.
Yeah, and of course, look at what he did in Columbus. I mean, out of the time he was there, got him in the playoffs 5 times, including their best season with 108 points. He had the Artemi Panarin trade. He also ended up getting Johnny Hockey. So he got some big names into a small market team, and he was able to build an identity out of them, which was actually a good thing. And seeing what we have here, I mean, he said that the general core is good, but we really have to build around it at this point. And he wants the team to play hard. He wants them to outwork everybody. And at the same time, he has that mentality. He's not going to take crap from anybody, which is good. And then another thing I'm also noticing when I ended up watching that press conference, he said he has 100% autonomy, so he can do whatever the hell he wants, and he can spend all the way up to the cap ceiling if we need to, which Adams never approached that at all. He would only barely spend to the cap floor. So it makes me wonder, was Adams scared to actually make the big moves? Or did Terry finally say, I'm getting out of your way, do what you got to do?
Yeah, I think Adams was just way in over his head. Kind of like when we, as the Islander fans, had to deal with Gar Snow, our backup goalie going into the GM role. It was almost that same kind of feeling, but with Kekalainen coming in, I think his first order of business is going to have to be Alex Tuck, and it's going to come down to whether they could sign him or not, because if they don't sign him, I feel like the Sabres are going into another rebuild, but I almost feel like they have to sign him, and I don't know if you guys both saw, Kevin Adams had his little parting gift. He was on the radio speaking about what Tuck's demands were and that he wants to get paid in excess of what Adrian Kempe got paid with the Kings.
I was going to say, there's no way in hell Tuck deserves that money.
I mean, I think he deserves it, but I think it's more of just the foundation behind it, because it's like they were not willing to give anybody else on the team that kind of money other than Dahlin. We know that Eichel certainly did in the past when he was there.
Right.
And then of course he said, I want out. And then they're like, shit, what do we do here? Because I don't think the Sabres are really willing to spend that kind of money on that kind of raw talent unless they were absolutely sure that it was like a certain like sure thing in that situation, like a Dahlin or Thompson. But if I'm not mistaken, Thompson I think makes like what, $7 million, Tom?
Something like that.
Yeah, that was like the one good deal that Kevin Adams did, but I think that was more Tage Thompson really wanting to stay. It was a really good sweetheart deal for the Sabres, and it looks even better as the years go by and the salary cap goes up. I don't think Tuck is necessarily worth $10.5 million, but with the way the cap is going up, I think the Sabres might have to pay that in order to start building something around here.
Yeah, I mean, do I think he's worth 10.5? No. Do I think he's worth a good amount of money? Absolutely. I mean, and he is somebody that you can keep on the team, somebody that you can have as part of the core and really build around it. But I also have to think about it in a sense. It's like, what do we want to do with some of the forwards, and do we want to go ahead and try to acquire somebody? Let's say if we were to get rid of UPL, or we were to get rid of one of our other goaltenders, like, who do you package them for? I think is like really one of the big things right now, because there are definitely some areas that we're going to need some help with. And I still think defensively, maybe one or two additional players, I mean, certainly can help, so we can build the depth. But I would say in terms of like the overall lines that we have, I mean, I think for the most part, top line, you've already got settled, but you may have to make tweaks on either a second, third, or fourth lines just to really try to get that consistent compete level on a nightly basis.
Yeah, and I think that should be easy for Kekalainen to do that, especially like his second order of business has to be shipping out one of these four goalies that they have, with UPL being on the top of that list. But what do you think they could realistically get for him?
Yeah, that's like the tough part about the market right now, because it's a little iffy.
Right. I mean, I look at it this way. If you're looking at trading at least one of your three goalies, you have to look at the bigger picture. Who's going to bring in more value? Who's going to play regularly on, a 40-game regular season schedule, maybe 60 at minimum? Who's going to stay healthy the longest? And all these things. Who has the smallest cap crunch? Things like that. It's all about mathematicians when it comes to trading the Sabres goalies. Mm-hmm. But the other thing, too, before I forget, was the other thing that I've also recently heard was ever since Jarmo became the GM, I've already heard rumors about Tage Thompson. And supposedly the Philadelphia Flyers want Tage Thompson, and they actually have inquired with Buffalo about his services. And Jarmo sounds like he's fully intact of making an offer, saying, hey, if you want Tage, you got to give me a decent offer for him, which I think in a sense it's fair, but it also comes down to what else you would get for the other three goalies. But I think if you were trading like Alex Lyon, you're probably going to get a 5th-round pick for him. If it's like Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, you might get lucky and get maybe like a 2nd or 3rd round pick and maybe another like bottom 6 forward or something like that. I don't know. I think it's more about, like I was saying, the mathematicians of the trade, because it has to make sense for both sides. It don't just make a deal just because someone said, hey, make a trade.
Right. Now, if it's me, honestly, I wouldn't trade Tage Thompson. I mean, we've got him on a friendly contract right now, and he's one of our consistent scorers. So me, I would say him and Dahlin are basically the two untouchables.
Tage is going to get you the most assets back because of that team-friendly contract.
Right.
So, I mean, I just see if you're going to trade Tuck, or you're going to trade Thompson, or you're going to trade Dahlin, any of those three, I feel like the rebuild is just back on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would almost have to say, if you're going to get rid of any one of those three, I mean, especially if it's Thompson, I would say minimum 1st round, and plus you're going to have to get other assets.
Oh, definitely. I could see multiple 1st-round picks.
Yeah, especially for the numbers he can produce. But here's another thing that I wanted to throw out there, and then I know we have a couple other things we'll cover real quick before we hit 8:30. But what do you do with Devin Levi now that Adams is out? Do you look to possibly elevate him and bring him into the system, or is it something where you go ahead and you look to package him? Because here's the other thing. I think Levi potentially would have room to grow here in the club. And I think part of the reason that he wanted out originally is because of Adams' mismanagement of the goaltenders.
Well, I think that's the thing with Levi, too. It's like, he got... Now that Adams is gone, which I'm surprised that Adams didn't want Levi up with the Sabres, because he ended up shipping out Sam Reinhart to bring Levi back.
Right.
And you would think that Adams would want Levi to play with the Sabres to make that trade look good. Instead, he buried him in the minors. And so that trade looked horrible. It could still be redeemed, but I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with him either, because at some point you have to think, do you keep Levi? I probably would. If I was running the Sabres, I would say keep Levi, because to me, out of the 3 goalies in Buffalo system currently, I think he has the most upside. Lyon is just another NHL journeyman. Luukkonen is way too goddamn injury prone to even be a starter to begin with. So I'm just looking at it from a realistic standpoint. And that is that if you're willing to bring up Devin Levi to the show and you say to yourself, okay, what can we do with the other 2 goalies? And don't just bring up Levi just because of the pressure. You want to do the right thing. I remember years and years and years ago when Rick DiPietro got drafted, he was immediately thrown into the Wolves. And I know DP is a bust. I get it. But DP was in a similar situation, and then he got hurt, and then they brought in Chris Osgood, and then didn't really do much afterwards. And then when he got healthy, he kind of just started to lose his spark, and then everybody else they were bringing in, guys like Dwayne Rollison, Marty Biron, all these other degenerates, even guys like Kevin Poulin, just as an example of getting a
watch it with that degenerates. We may want one of those people on the podcast now.
True. And actually, we do have a comment here, and Larry jumped on, and he actually ends up asking, do the Sabres have good enough goalies, or should we get new ones? Honestly,
we really don't know, though.
Yeah, we really don't know because of the fact that, we know Levi can win games. He's been up here and he has won games. And then, of course, we wanted to further develop him. I think it's just another example of Adams' mismanagement in terms of how he utilized them. But they do have some pretty decent goaltenders down in Rochester that they can develop. And then I would almost say, if anybody, ship UPL out, keep Lyon at least for now, just because he has won some games. And then perhaps maybe you look at bringing Levi up and possibly having him as a number 2 and maybe getting something for Ellis.
Well, one of the worst things the Islanders ever did was when they went to a 3-goalie system when they had JF Berube. And they just held on to this dude, and it was just such a disaster. And that was a 3-goalie system. Now we're looking at, a 3-goalie system, possibly a 4-goalie system for the Sabres. They got to do something. 1, if not 2 of these goalies got to go.
Yeah. It also depends on who stays healthy, who's making a push for the playoffs, who needs a goaltender, teams like that. I'm going to use the Penguins, for example. The Penguins recently made that trade with Stuart Skinner about almost a week ago for Tristan Jarry. Pittsburgh wanted to get rid of Jarry's contract, and Edmonton wanted Jarry, so they were able to make this work. So it's in a way more of a downgrade on both sides. And honestly, that doesn't do much because, Skinner went to 2 Cup finals. Hallelujah, because your team was carried by McDavid. But you also have to take it from the forefront. Skinner had a good team around him in Edmonton. And then now he's really downgraded in Pittsburgh. I don't know if he's ever going to be a starter again after this stint. I really have no idea. But I think, and again, it all comes down to whoever is available that could potentially use a goalie. Hell, I wouldn't even throw Tampa Bay in the conversation because Tampa Bay will probably look at, Jonas Johansson, and they're going to say, well, they can't ride the rest of the season with Johansson, and Vasilevsky's on IR. So it's oh, shit, what do we do at that point? And you might have to get another backup goalie. I really don't know. Buffalo kind of put themselves in this really tricky situation with these goalies.
Right.
Yeah, it should have happened in the offseason. One of these goalies should have been traded. Hell, the Islanders were looking for a goalie before the season started. That's how we ended up with Big Save Dave.
Big Save Dave.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Rittich has been great for the Islanders.
He has.
So I won't hear any bitching about that.
Right. And then, of course, one of the other things we want to talk about is down on the island. Pat LaFontaine got honored the other night.
Yes. So Pat LaFontaine has officially been inducted into the New York Islanders Hall of Fame. And he's going to be joining guys like Kenny Morrow, Bobby Nystrom, Mike Bossy, Brian Trottier, all those guys that played on those 80s teams. And then, of course, Patty came later. But Patty was one of my favorite players growing up in the NHL, regardless what team he played for. And he really got his start with the Islanders and made a name for himself. And obviously he was famous for Easter Epic against the Capitals in 87. And then from there on out, became a legend and went to Buffalo. And he made a name for himself up there. but I still think to this day that it's extremely criminal that the Islanders did not retire the number 16 jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is weird because he's retired here in Buffalo, and he played less games here in Buffalo than he played for the Islanders. But I don't know. I don't know why they never did.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Crazy.
I don't know why I feel this way, but it's almost in a way it makes me think that Patty, I think, deserved a little better, in my opinion. But I did read an article the day the day he got into the Hall of Fame, was that he requested a trade in the early 90s because of a contract dispute with the Islanders. And they made the deal with Buffalo, and they got Pierre Turgeon and then Yui Krupp and so on and so forth. So I think it worked out both ways. And I will say this, too. Without Pat LaFontaine, there would be no Emil Heineman. And I did recently see a Emil Heineman tree, like a tree trade thing. You ever see one of those things on YouTube?
No, what about it?
Okay, so there was a trade that happened almost 40 years ago revolving around Pat LaFontaine. And obviously, the Sabres Islander trade and all the other assets that went into the deal kept going and going and going and going and going for the last 35 years. I'll send it to you later. And it got to the point of the recent trade that happened in June between the Canadiens and the Islanders, which sent Emil Heineman, a guy you don't trade, to the Islanders along with those 2 first-round picks, which I think it's a little early to declare that winner, but I think so far the people on Long Island have really happy with the situation. But my point is that without Pat LaFontaine, the trade would never happen.
Yeah, very true. And actually, we also had a couple big deals that ended up taking place over the past week. And of course, one of them involved the Minnesota Wild. And what I'm going to do, I do have to step out for one quick moment to unlock my front door since apparently someone's coming over. But Bobby, go ahead and take it away. Let's talk about the trades.
Yes. So, Damien, the Minnesota Wild have made a trade over the week on a random fuckfest of a Friday night. And they have officially acquired Quinn Hughes from the Vancouver Canucks for Marco Rossi, Steve William, Liam Ogren, and a 2026 first-round pick. What do you think?
I mean, like I discussed with you off the air, I think this is Minnesota's way of saying they're going for it, since they just gave that big contract to Kaprizov in the offseason. Do I think that this makes them a Stanley Cup contender? No. I don't think it does.
It definitely makes them better because plus they get into
makes
account,
them better.
It does, but also take into account Matt Boldy, Brock Fader, Quinn Hughes. Oh my God, that team is really starting to stack up on core players.
Mm-hmm.
Like holy
I don't
shit!
know, but in the end of the day, it's still the Minnesota Wild. I don't know. They're just like one of those teams that's always around but never gets over the hump.
Yeah, I mean, it'll give them some good firepower, but then on the other hand, just like you said, consistency with them. They're playing really well or they're really not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, it makes perfect sense, but at the same time, Minnesota wants to go all in, and I personally do not blame them for that one bit.
No, they kind of have to go all in after they gave that money to Kaprizov to make him the highest paid player in hockey. They kind of have to do something with that. Kind of like Edmonton kind of has to do something now in the next 2 years before McDavid walks. But where do you think Quinn Hughes is going to ultimately end up? Is he going to end up in Jersey?
I still think he does. I think he wants to play with Jack and Luke. I think it's undeniable at this point. I think everybody in the league wants to see the Hughes brothers play together. I think it makes sense. But if he actually stays in Minnesota, then he has no right to bitch about his time there, especially now with them being really damn good this year.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's more of just the fact that Minnesota is doing all this work, and they're usually like I saw the rumor mill. It was like the Flyers, the Red Wings, obviously the Devils. No one saw Minnesota. Nobody saw that coming.
Not even any of the experts. None of them.
Yeah, I mean that was like a complete trade out of left field because I mean none of us would have ever even thought about it.
It's crazy to me, and to think that Minnesota was able to have the assets. And apparently, I read that the first offer that was sent to the Canucks for Quinn Hughes, Vancouver, that was exactly what they wanted. They wanted Marco Rossi. They wanted all that shit.
Yeah.
Which is fucking crazy.
Right. And the fact that Minnesota won out. And the fact that, Minnesota won out, it was just absolutely crazy. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do. But then, of course, the other trade that ended up happening was Jarry and Skinner. So, and actually, Bobby, we might have seen Tristan Jarry's last Pittsburgh home game when we were down there, actually, about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we did, and that was a fucking shit show. And one of our contributors for tonight, Gil Martin from Lockdown Islanders, just came onto the show, and he'll be on in a few minutes. We're just waiting for Seymour Knox, and I know he's going to be saying hello to everybody. And Gil, I know he's listening, so he's like, damn it.
Yeah, and I still actually
guys again.
Yeah, and actually, I'm still gonna have to pick up the book and ship it to Gil at some point too. So we'll have to do that, and then of course we'll have Seymour Knox on here, which will be always good to have as well. So it'll be a fun 8:30 to 9 hour. And then one of the things, and just wanted to touch on a couple of quick stats here, but of course, Forrester is out 5 months for the Flyers with arm surgery. Apparently, the Panthers don't know if Tkachuk will play in the Winter Classic, and Miami has begun to build the rink for the 2026 Winter Classic.
That's going to be a shit show on its own, just like the Sabres earlier this year, or even the Canucks for that matter. It's probably going to be a bigger shit show than 2011 when they burned down the entire city just because out of spite.
Yeah. And then, of course, tomorrow night we have the Philadelphia Flyers playing here in Buffalo against the Sabres. And then, of course, the Sabres Islanders will take place on Saturday. So that's going to be the big game that we're going to be touching on a little bit later. And then so far, just to give you an idea of real-time scores, Florida leads the LA Kings 2-1. Detroit and Utah are tied at 0 in the second period. St. Louis and Winnipeg also no score in the first. And then Carolina, Nashville, no score. And, of course, the New Jersey Devils and Vegas Golden Knights will come up at 10 o'clock Eastern time. So we've got a pretty good night of hockey on tap. And, it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it. But I almost want to throw this out there and just to get a quick reaction and see what you guys think before we bring everybody on. But do you think with the change of GM to Jarmo Kekalainen, do you think that if Lindy Ruff stays in the organization, do you think that they possibly make him a president of hockey operations, or do they give him some other job in the front office?
I mean, I think they're going to give him something in the front office. I don't know if it's going to be president of hockey operations. Probably more of like a title for him. I did see rumors about them trying to possibly bring in Pete DeBoer as the next head coach.
Okay.
I don't know. They just love to do these retreads.
The trap system. Here we go.
Like I don't know. Like I know the Sabres have tried everything in these last 14 years, from like a soccer coach to these retreads, and just nothing seems to stick. But I would like to see something fresh from the Sabres, not a retread.
Right.
I would love to see them bring in John Tortorella, and I know that sounds ludicrous, but
hey, we'll have some interesting press conferences. I will say that,
because I was actually thinking about that the other. I'm like, I wonder what happens if they bring in Torts, and it's like, holy crap, they bring him in, and it's going to be like, well, that's boot camp 101.
Yeah, and thinking about it realistically could happen at this point.
It very well could. But you know what? At the end of the day, I think we're starting to get our game day preview ready to go. But what do we say we go to commercial, and then we'll bring our two guys in? What do you say?
That's fine with me.
Absolutely. And then, one last thing. Draisaitl is the first German player to reach 1,000 points. So congratulations to him. So with that, let's go ahead. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. Gil Martin, Seymour H. Knox the fourth will join us, and then for the next half hour, and then we're going to jump into football the rest of the way. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
This episode of I-86 After Dark is brought to you by the Long Island Bills backers. If you're a Buffalo Bills fan living on Long Island, there's only one place to be on game day. Instant Replay in Huntington Station, New York, with 56 TVs, 4 pool tables, and an atmosphere that feels just like Orchard Park. You'll never miss a snap. Grab one of their delicious burgers, sink your teeth into their award-winning wings, or try their stacked sandwiches. There's something for everyone. So join the Long Island Bills backers this season and be part of the biggest Bills family on the island. Check out their Facebook group or just scan the QR code in our show notes to get connected. Go Bills!
All right, so welcome back to I-86 After Dark, everybody. Of course, you got me, the Ginger Hammer, Great Dane, Buffalo Bob, and we're proud to have 2 returning guests here to the show. We've got the son of former Sabres owner Seymour H. Knox, the third. We have Seymour H. Knox, the fourth, joining us, and then Locked on Islanders, we have Gil Martin joining us. So, gentlemen, welcome back. It's great to have you here again.
Great to be back. I see you guys are all wearing hats, so I had to go get one.
Awesome. So good to see you, Seymour, and Ashley. I may take you up on that tour offer too. So I'll reach out to you outside of the show because I know I actually will have some time coming up over the Christmas and New Year's break. So definitely would love to meet up with you. And then Gil, good to see you again. How have you been?
I've been good. Thanks for having me back. It's always a pleasure talking hockey with you guys. So great to be here and great to meet Mr. Knox.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gil,
it's great to have. Yeah.
Great to meet you too.
Yeah, great to have both of you here. And Gil, I do have to ship you a copy of the book like I was talking about as well. So I'll reach out to you separately too. So what we wanted to do, of course, we just wanted to have a little bit of fun here with both teams because, of course, Sabres and Islanders will be playing Saturday night. Obviously, we did talk a little bit about the Sabres changes that happened over the last couple of days. Of course, with the Islanders, they had a lot of changes in the offseason. And right now, Islanders are in the middle of making a pretty good run. Sabres now are going to be making some changes going forward and looking to build upon a 3-game win streak that they have. So what we wanted to kind of do is sort of open it up a little bit and just see what you guys think are some of the areas that both teams have grown in your eyes and just kind of see what you're looking for in terms of this matchup on Saturday.
Well, I mean, I would have to start if I'm talking Islanders with Matthew Schaefer. I mean, that's the catalyst of all the changes I think that we've seen with this team. And, you know, the amazing thing is they're playing a completely different style of hockey than they were a year ago. I mean, last year they were more of a dump and chase team. Now they're actually skating the puck into the zone with speed. They're playing a lot more up-tempo, a lot more aggressive on the forecheck. And amazingly enough, with Schaefer, you now have a player who can keep up with and create with Matthew Barzal, which he really didn't have last year on a regular basis. So he has, you know, the addition of Matthew Schaefer has energized this team. It allows them to play the way Patrick Waugh wants them to play. And it really, I mean, it's hard to believe he's only 18 years old.
Yeah, it's nuts. And even looking at some of the things that he's been able to accomplish so far, I mean, he's off to a great start. So I can definitely mention that. And then Seymour, of course, with changes happening yesterday and what you've been seeing recently, what are some of your thoughts with the new direction and what are some of your thoughts with what you've seen with some of the core so far?
Well, everything is pretty new as we know. They made the announcements yesterday and today at 10 a.m. with a press conference with Terry Pegula. Unfortunately, the GM's father had passed away, and he was over in Finland when he got the news, and he had to come back quickly back to Buffalo to face an onslaught of reporters who were interested in what his future plans are with the Sabres.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, you know, I think that the Sabres finally did the right thing by getting rid of Adams and then bringing in Kekalainen. I think it's going to work out for them in the end.
Yeah, I would tend to think that Kevin had a good 6-year run And unfortunately, the teams, although they've been on a 3-game winning streak, didn't really do what he thought he was going to be doing. And to his credit, we have a lot of young talent, got a lot of good talent down in Rochester, and he's got a lot of younger kids, unfortunately, that are in the lineup that are just going through a lot of learning curve. In the Islanders' case, Schaefer is the real deal, as I think everybody in the Long Island contingent on the call tonight can attest to, and it's very, very exciting to have a player of that quality step in and do what he's doing. It's and I can't wait to see him. Can't wait to see him on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun matchup seeing him here for the first time.
So
Yeah, you know what? I think you're in for a treat, Seymour, just for the record, before, we get to Gil for the next half of it. You know what I mean?
Well, Gil's lucky. He gets to see him every game.
I think they could have gave Adams a couple more years. The Islanders gave Gar Snow 12. So.
Jesus Christ.
Well, that is true. And Garth, came with his excitement. He actually had a lot of really great players, just like Kevin Adams has had the last few years. The Sabres, as we know, have had great first-round picks with Darlene and Owen Power and beyond. Benson has been playing really well. He's healthy again.
Yeah, it's good to see him finally back being healthy, and then actually it's also good too. Kesselring is practicing again as well. So
yes, he's supposed to be playing in the Flyer game tomorrow night. I'm going to be watching that on TV. My boys, boys have absconded with Dad's tickets.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, I'll definitely be putting that on the big screen tomorrow, and of course, Kesselring's actually been a nice addition. The way I look at it, because initially. And for anyone who watched the show, obviously when the initial trade happened, where Peterka was sent out to the Utah Mammoth for Doan and for Kesselring, of course, I kind of went off the deep end about it because initially I was thinking, why are you getting rid of this up and coming player that we have, who has good speed, he can score, he can do a lot of creative things offensively. But the more I thought about it, it actually, in a lot of ways, helped us defensively. And then, of course, we're still getting similar offensive production at the same time. So it's good to see Kesselring coming back. It's good to see him healthy again. He can definitely add some grit to the line. But it'll definitely be interesting to see when I look at our top line for the game Saturday, how they will match up with Schaefer, because of course it'll be the first time we've had the opportunity to see him play against the Sabres here, and just really interested to see what some of your thoughts are in terms of what to expect with Schaefer and of course just overall.
Well, Kesselring, believe it or not, has been out most of the season, and the bonus pick that we got in that trade with Peterka to Utah has been Shane Doan or Josh Doan. I take that back. And he's really been incredible so far this season. He's got a lot of goals. He's had a lot of action, which has been great, and has been very, very productive, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah. Gil, what are some of your thoughts?
I am looking forward to seeing this matchup. I mean, I always like the Sabres, and it's always fun to I mean, like I believe I told you guys last time that I was on, my very first NHL game was between the Islanders and the Sabres. It was the very last home game of the Islanders' first season. And I did get to see the French Connection line and those guys go at it. So I'm looking forward to seeing Buffalo and the Islanders. And I can't believe how close we are to the holiday break now. It's like so close. And the schedule's compression is really affecting, I think, a lot of teams this year.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that, Gil. And it's just going to get worse as we get towards February.
Absolutely. What I was gonna say is that if you told me 3 months ago, Gil, that the Islanders were going to be a top 3 contender in the Eastern Conference, I probably would have just laughed in your face.
I probably would have too, because I wouldn't have said it. But
right.
and this is new to everybody down on the island. That's for certain. It's definitely a hot commodity, and I guess you could say it's really just unheard of in a way, because it's like we're so accustomed to like basic shit on a dish tray for the last like 15, 20 years with the Islanders, and then all of a sudden COVID hit. They went to 2 conference finals appearances within that span, and then now they're back at it again, being relevant because, according to Paul Besnet, they were quote unquote boring, and now because they're actually good for once, they actually changed up the narrative, saying, "Oh, I never said that."
Yeah, he denied it, but there's enough tweets and clips out there to prove him wrong. But look, there is no question that the way they're playing right now is a lot more entertaining than what we've seen in the last 3, 4, 5 years from this team. Now, they went to the back-to-back conference final, as you mentioned, and, winning is entertaining no matter what. You could not be the most exciting team to watch, but fans will love it when you win. But ultimately, even when they lose now, this team is exciting to watch, and I don't remember the last time the adjective exciting was in the same sentence with the Islanders without some kind of negation in there somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing we can probably all agree on here with the 5 of us is, so I'll tell you both, actually, me and Bob, when we went to Pittsburgh for the Bills game just about 2 weeks ago, we actually ended up deciding on that Saturday night. We're like, all right, let's check out the Penguins versus Maple Leafs. Let's see how that game goes. And all I can say is that was a complete snooze fest, to the point where I actually almost literally fell asleep in the upper deck, because the way that the Pens were playing was absolutely horrific. And it was probably some of the worst defensive hockey I've seen. And of course, they got blown out by the Leafs. It was like a 7-2 final. And we did get to see some Leafs fans get arrested in the upper deck, so which I've seen at the KeyBank Center before too. So it's no surprise there. But probably I would say Pens and Maple Leafs, probably one of the worst hockey games I've seen, at least like top 5 recently. That was just absolutely awful.
Well, it's not the worst, because you do have the Sabres.
Shut up! No, you're still bitter about that Columbus one that you were up here with, where we actually I think it was 7-1 at the end of 2, and then ended up being like 9-4 or something by the
Buyer's
end of it.
remorse, my friend. Buyer's remorse.
Hey, just remember, I gave you a place to stay up here. Remember that.
I gave you a place to stay too, jackass.
I would say my biggest concern, though, with the Islanders right now is Horvat going down. They looked extremely disinterested last night in Detroit. Very sloppy. And I love Barzal, but he cannot carry a team like Horvat can carry a team. And Schaefer's looking a little bit more human lately. Mm-hmm. That's not a knock on him.
Yeah.
And he's been fantastic. He's only 18 years old. But I'm just hoping that the Islanders can tread water until Horvat can get back.
Well, that's exactly what I said on my show. I said I'm hoping the Islanders can play
I may have
NHL.
listened to that earlier, so you might have been in my head. So
I'm hoping they can play NHL 500 hockey until Horvat gets back, sort of treading water. And then, when look, I mean, at the time of the injury, Horvat had almost 20% of the team's total goals scored. Mm-hmm. So it's a big loss. And, you mentioned Barzal. 2 things about him. Number one, I think he's a good player to have on a team, but as you alluded to, he's not your number 1 guy. He could be your number 2 guy, your number 3 guy, but he's not going to carry a team. And the other thing is, to maximize Barzal's potential, you need a sniper to play with him, because he is a pass-first mentality kind of player. And whether it's going to be Cole Yzerman in a couple of years, or whether the Islanders add another goal scorer, if you can get him like a 40-goal scorer on his line, you'll maximize what he can be.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with Barzal is he doesn't drive to the net.
Yeah.
He always likes to do that little curl around play or go to the corner. And I just wish every once in a while he would just drive to the net and cause some chaos. And I think that would help his game and the people around him so much more.
It really would. And, you know, he scored a goal a couple of games ago doing just that. And it was great to see, but he doesn't do it consistently. His mentality is pass first. And that, you know, there's a value to that, but you need a finisher on his line. And right now there is no legitimate sniper. I mean, Bo Horvat is on a 50-goal pace. I don't necessarily think he'll keep that pace, even if he comes back really soon and stays healthy. But to have a legitimate 40-plus goal player year in and year out on a line with Matthew Barzal can take his passing and his skating to another level, because he'll make a play, but then nobody finishes it. So that, you know, leaves you hanging.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
True. And I did want to mention we had a couple quick comments here that ended up coming in. So of course, Ed Blazak said, and this was actually from the first half hour. He said if we move on from Ruff, it needs to be someone that has a track record, call it retread or whatever you want. So he was referring to the possible head coaching change that may or may not happen. Again, it's too early to tell with the changes. And then Natalie Messman says hi to everybody. So of course, hello back, and we appreciate you watching.
Yeah, certain. But Seymour, I was going to ask you before, because, you know, the Islanders are kind of shorthanded at this time frame, but, you know, Horvat being hurt, and then Romanov being hurt, and then there's just a bunch of shit going on. As far as the Islanders are concerned, what would you say, as of right now, what's your biggest concern for Buffalo right now going into Saturday's game?
Well, having Kevin Kesserling in for his first or second game would be a good start. The realignment with all the defensive core, because he'll be back in action again. I think the readjustment of a lot of the Sabres lines with Quinn back in, and Joe Norris is back and healthy again, so they'll be playing with a little bit of adjustment for the Flyers game tomorrow night, and then certainly with the Islanders game. We've got a number of our players that are still fringe with injuries for quite a while. Jerry Kulik is out with a blood clot, so he'll be out for quite a while, which has made a drop in some of the top lines that we've had.
Yeah. I mean, it's very possible that injuries are obviously a galore, but one thing, I mean, I'm sure Gil's already ahead of this, or either in your case, Seymour, is like the goaltending battle. Like, who is it going to be? Is it going to be Sorokin, or is it going to be Reddick? Is it going to be Lyon, or is it going to be Luukkonen? That's the big question, because Sorokin just played yesterday against Detroit, and then I don't think Waz announced anything yet for goaltenders for the game on Friday against the Knox. I don't think, at least yet.
No, and I think, you know, as an outsider, you know, I'm excited to see Sorokin play. You know, he's friends with Mitch Korn. I've been friends with Mitch for 30 plus years, and he said Sorokin is actually a real superstar with the Islanders, and he's always fun to watch. And Barzal is always exciting to watch, just because of his talent level. So you never know what's going to happen. People will be excited certainly to see Schaefer in action for the first time, for at least for us, although we've seen him on TV, and we all know he's the real deal. And you know, his heartfelt acceptance speech when he was drafted regarding his mom and everything else, seems like he's the real deal.
Definitely. But I will say is that you do bring up a great point about Schaefer with his whole mom thing, but I think that's going to really spark his career moving forward. But as far as the game on Saturday coming up, I'm actually looking forward to this game, because I actually get for once in my life, I get to bust Tom's chops for once, especially if the Islanders hopefully win that game, and he'd be like, "You son of a bitch, I didn't ask for this."
Well, it'll go one of two ways. Here's one way I also look at about it also, is that I think in a lot of ways the Sabres are going to have a new fire under them in terms of with having Jarmo Kekalainen take over, because the team's on notice. They know everything's being looked at this point, and they know that if you're going to stay here long term, you're going to have to produce, and that's just the bottom line. And everybody knows that at this point, regardless of what happens, we're in a position, we're going to make a move if it makes the club better. And that's just what came out of the press conference yesterday. And it's good to see that. I mean, it gives like that new spark in a lot of ways. And I know, Seymour, you were here, of course, when your dad owned the club and your uncle owned the club as well. And I know there were times that you guys had to make changes, which helped make the club move forward as well. So just in terms of that thought, it's going to be interesting to see how they come out. But I'm definitely interested to see how this matchup goes too, because of course, with Tuck, Thompson, of course, you're going to have. They haven't announced if it's UPL or Lion yet, but it's going to be interesting to see how those two, how the two top lines match up and how they're going to compete. And, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, honestly. I mean, and plus it's been a little while since I've seen Barzal play, so it should be a good matchup, honestly. I'm
actually hoping, Tom, that our new GM has a nice finished conversation with Uka.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, for a long time, he hasn't had, this is my personal opinion, the support behind the scenes in his native language to be able to discuss things.
Yeah. And it's actually an interesting point. I hadn't really thought about that. And I know Kakalainen was the first Finnish GM in the league. And just seeing what he was able to do with turning Columbus around, getting them in the playoffs 5 times, including their best season, which they had 108 points. The trades that he was able to make with Johnny Gaudreau or Tommy Panarin, which added a lot of firepower. I'm really looking forward to seeing the direction on how this goes forward. And then, Gil, just some of your thoughts in terms of what you saw with some of those changes and what you're looking forward to with the lineup on Saturday.
As far as the Islanders are concerned, or
or even with what you heard with the Sabres changes too.
Well, I think the Sabres changes, it was time. I think they made the right move, and I like the change that they made. There's a guy with experience. You mentioned his track record in Columbus. That always is a bonus. And look, usually when you make a GM change or a coaching change, it does light a spark under the team because a new GM or a new coach wants to make their mark on the team. They're not going to maintain the status quo, and everybody's on notice. Either you produce or you're expendable. And, whether that bump lasts more than, 10, 12 games, that's sort of the bigger question. But you usually do get that bump. And, look, the Sabres have been in a rebuild for a very long time right now. And I'm sure the fan base is extremely impatient to start seeing progress.
Yeah,
that might be an understatement.
Yeah,
right.
It's still exciting to go to the games. They put in a new scoreboard. They've introduced a nice board. Live music at the games, which has been fun, pre-game and in between periods. And they've changed a lot of the concessions up, and it's fun. My kids like going to the games, and I still like going to the games, and we're hoping that good things will be happening.
Absolutely. But I do have a question for both of you guys, Damien, including yourself, is that what makes the Sabres Islanders matchup in general a low-key good rivalry for the state?
Well, I think they've had a good rivalry since 1974, 75, when the Islanders came in. We had, a couple of really great playoff series when Bill Torrey was the GM at that time. We've seen a similar situation with Dennis Potvin. I'm not going to put him in the same category with Schaefer yet, because Schaefer's new, and Dennis, as we all know, had a tremendous career with the Islanders. But I think, we've had a lot of great playoff series over the years, and that's carried on for a lot of, at least certainly people my generation.
Definitely. What about you, Gil?
Yeah, there have been some great playoff matchups. You can go back, to the mid to late 70s. where, those teams, and into the early 80s where they met sometimes. And those were some great matchups, some really good players on both teams. And then, you go back to the mid 2000s, which I think was the last time these two teams met in the postseason, when the Sabres were the number 1 seed and the Islanders were the 8th seed that year. That was the year that the Islanders had, Ryan Smith acquired the deadline in his brief cameo on Long Island. But yeah, I mean, and then the fact that these are, 2 New York State teams, you got Western New York and Long Island, and it adds a little juice to it, but they're not quite division rivals. So it's sort of like a second tier rivalry, but a fun one nonetheless.
Okay.
Do you think it's possible? You think it's possible for a realignment at some point with the 2 teams in it?
I think a realignment is possible, but I don't think they would necessarily keep Buffalo and the New York metropolitan area teams in the same division. I'd say it's unlikely.
That's fair enough. What do you think, Seymour?
Having had the opportunity to sit in the room when we were discussing alignment a number of years ago, I would tend to agree with that. They were tossing Buffalo at that time with Buffalo, Toronto, Detroit, and Montreal and Ottawa. It was sort of a Northern Division. And then they had the Rangers, the Devils, the Islanders, and the Caps. And Nashville was, another potential back in those days. Florida hadn't been, and Tampa at that time weren't in the league when they were having these discussions.
Definitely. And finally, before we guys let you go, because, we were going bing, bang, boom about this segment, is that, do you guys have any predictions of, what do you think is going to happen at the game, starting with Seymour?
What's going to happen at the game?
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the Sabres come out with a win? Do you think there's going to be a big breakout play in the game from
Well, I'm always hoping for a big win. Are you kidding?
Yeah, same here. Us Buffalo fans have to stick together.
I think when we get solid, if we have solid goaltending off the get-go, it'll be good. Uka, if he's playing, sometimes is unsteady for his first or second shot, similar to what had happened with Ryan Miller back in the day. You could get one on him, his first shot in the game or first shot in the second period or third period. It was just one of those quirky things. But I'm hoping for a big win. And actually, before we get away from it, you were talking about New York State teams. We have one of our favorite players from the Sabres time went into the New York Islanders Hall of Fame on Saturday, that being Pat LaFontaine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember his playing time here. It was did a great job. I remember him, Mogilny at the time, and I remember your dad was part of that deal back at that point.
Yes.
with bringing him in, and I mean, just added a lot of offensive firepower and a lot of wins that we were able to have, and just remember some of the plays, Mogilny to LaFontaine, and just hearing RJ do the call. There was some great memories with that.
Yeah, so I'm very happy for Pat. I had the opportunity to text him on Sunday and Monday after all the excitement. He sort of had a weird week with what was happening within his family with his son-in-law, but very, very happy for Pat.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, very well deserved. Gil,
and Mary Beth and the kids.
Yeah, very well deserved for Pat LaFontaine. I mean, he was outstanding on the ice and always class off the ice. So involved in charity work and so many projects in the community here on Long Island where he still lives. And, when the Islanders had to trade him back, I believe it was 1991, that was heartbreaking for a lot of Islander fans. Ownership just wouldn't pay him, what was then fair market value. I don't know if they kind of had the solvency to do that. And, I give Bill Torrey credit for the deal that he got in return, but it was heartbreaking. I would say that Pat LaFontaine was the best Islander player post-Dynasty era.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely the Easter Sunday, Easter Epic. That's probably my favorite Pat LaFontaine moment, like as ever. Because I said it before that Pat LaFontaine is one of my favorite players to ever play, to play the sport. So I always admired Patty. I would love, and I know Seymour has mentioned it to me that he might potentially get me Pat LaFontaine to come on the show. I would die to have him on the show. Gil, you're invited.
Thank you. I would love that. And
I think this would be a good time to get him on the show, just because of everything that happened. He can talk about his fantastic night. It was great seeing all the other Islander greats at the ceremony. Great to see the bronze wall with everybody's plaques up on it. And the Islanders, unfortunately, the last couple of years lost a lot of their great dynasty players, certainly with Clark Gillies and Bobby Nystrom.
No, Mike Bossy.
Mike Bossy, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
He was the sniper that we were looking for taking Horvat's place with Barzell.
Right. Absolutely. I know. So of course, as we come to the top of the hour, Seymour, Knox, Gil Martin, we want to say thank you both for coming on. It's certainly a pleasure to always have you. And of course, we'll have to do this again, the next Sabres Islanders matchup. So of course, thanks for coming on again. We appreciate it. Of course, you're always welcome back. And then what we're going to do in the meantime, we're going to take a quick commercial. And in the last part of the show, we're going to jump into Buffalo Bills football. We're going to recap the big win that happened over the New England Patriots. And of course, we'll take more of your comments. So stay with us. We will be right back.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Have a great holiday.
Thanks, everybody.
You too.
Thank you.
This episode of I-86 After Dark is brought to you by Superfry, right here in Merrick, New York. Superfry is serving up homemade soup, legendary hand-cut fries, and wraps that always hit the spot. And if you're hungry for something next level, try the Zazzini, stacked with crispy bacon, melted mozzarella cheese, juicy chicken cutlet, and their signature Roscoe dressing. One bite and you'll know why it's a local favorite. So when you're craving real flavor, head to Superfry in Merrick, New York. Big taste, handcrafted, and always fresh. To place your order, call 516-379-SOUP or just scan the QR code on your screen and get Superfry fast.
All right, welcome back to I-86 After Dark, everybody. You got Ginger Hammer, Dame, and Bob here with us. And, of course, if you joined us in the last half hour, again, special thanks to Seymour H. Knox IV and Gil Martin for joining us for the Islanders and Sabres preview. So, of course, last part of the show, we're going to jump into football. And the biggest thing that happened, of course, this past week, Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. And, of course, the Buffalo Bills ended up coming from behind to win 35-31, which is absolutely great to see, especially when they were down 21 at one point. And here's one of the things that stood out in an interesting way. So Josh Allen, he only had 193 yards passing, but yet he was a complete beast in the second half. James Cook ended up going off. Knox and Kincaid actually got a lot of touches and were able to make some serious plays. Now, of course, Prater is going to be out this coming week with the calf injury, so we ended up signing a kicker today. But just wanted to say, first and foremost, what are some of your thoughts about what we ended up seeing this past week? Because I will say that first half was a snooze fest again. And I'm getting sick of playing from behind the way we've been. But the fact that we came back and beat New England in their house, it was always great to see.
Definitely. I'm going to let Damien go first because I feel bad that we left him out on accident.
Sorry about that. And actually,
that's all right.
I'm going to step out real quick.
I usually defer to you, Bobby, so.
All right, fine. So we'll play that game a little bit. So, honestly, in the first half of the game, I genuinely thought, and I felt this way for a while, every single time the Bills play like shit in the first half of a game, I say to myself, they're not coming back from this. There is no chance in hell they're going to be able to come back from this large deficit and then, beat the odds. I know it happened earlier this year, but that was just pure luck against Baltimore back in September. And then this one comes about, and it's like, holy shit, they did it again against their biggest rivals. So, in a way, I'm blessed that the Bills actually got their shit straightened out and were able to make a comeback win. But the thing that really drove me fucking insane about the end of that game was how fucking arrogant New England Patriots fans have become. And we said it, and I said it last week, and I said that the one thing I can't stand about Pats fans is they've been shit for 5 years, and then the 1 year where they're relevant because of a weak-ass schedule, all of a sudden they take the lead into the division, and they're saying, we're the shit, we're better than you, yada, yada, yada. And then as soon as they lost the game on Sunday, they just said, doesn't matter to me, I don't really care. When they actually did care, because they looked like a bunch of assholes talking shit throughout the majority of the week.
I'm not as jaded as you because I'm not like a super Bills fan like you are. So even when they were down 21-0, I felt like Buffalo was still in the game. And so I actually came into the game when they were already down 21-0 and watched from that point. And the Bills took over the game from that point, really. Do I think they're going to win a division? No. I still think they're going to lose the division to New England. But like we discussed last week, I don't think that's the mission. The mission is just to get into the playoffs and go on a run in the playoffs. I don't think they have to win a division to go all the way.
Yeah, that's for sure. Did Tom say he was coming right back?
I think he said he's coming back.
Okay.
He says device is not connected.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
It'll be okay. So, I mean, I know that you're not jaded about the Bills as much as I am, which you're correct because you're a Giants fan, which we'll get to in a little bit until Tom actually gets back. And that is I wanted to beat the Patriots no matter the costs. And I'm going to be honest, I disagree about the Patriots winning the division only because at this point they have to play the Ravens on Sunday in Baltimore. So the Ravens are fighting for every opportunity they have to make the playoffs. And then the Dolphins, who just got eliminated. So in a sense, why does it really matter? But that's not till week 18. They play the shitty Jets the following week after they play Baltimore. And then that's it. So it's like if one of those two teams can beat the Pats, that will help the Bills out a lot.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because New England has the tiebreakers, so it's going to be a little tough. Even if they finish tied with New England, it's going to go to New England.
Yeah, but I look at it this way, and I said it last week, is that if the Patriots get the number 2 seed in the AFC this year, chances are pretty high they're going to likely play the Texans in the first round.
Yeah, good luck with that. I'd rather not play the Texans in the first round.
I'm just saying, but it's probably better to play Jacksonville than it is to play Houston.
Probably. But I hate trying to pick your opponent. It's always dangerous. You don't want to try to pick your opponent. Just go in, try to win as many games as possible, and let the cards fall where they may.
Yeah, just for sure. We actually have a bunch of comments coming in. Too bad Tom's not here to read this shit. But your daughter, Damien, said,
"Oh
hey,
no,
guys,
that's my daughter's friend."
Oh, your daughter's friend.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh yeah, no, your daughter's name is Quinn. Why the fuck did I?
Yeah, Quinn.
My bad.
We already read that comment though.
Yeah. Oh my God. The Damien Mike Rudd Booster Club is back. And
he says it's weird that we're wearing Islander hats. Does he not know that we're Islander fans?
He probably doesn't know.
Really?
I
thought he knew we were both Islander fans. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's weird. Whatever. Fuck it. And then Larry says, was a New England collapse, or did the Bills take over the defense? I'm going to say both because I think it's more of the Patriots. If you look at their schedule, it's a very cupcake schedule. And it's gotten to a point where they're beating teams that have only made the playoffs at least once in the last couple of years. I mean, if you look at teams like the Browns, the Jets, obviously, the Dolphins at one point this year, they beat some pretty shitty teams. And you made a comment last week. You said the Patriots only beaten 3 consistent playoff teams. I'm at the point now where it's 2, if you want to count the Panthers.
It could be. But I think it was a little bit of both, like you said. I think the Bills made an adjustment at halftime and realized that middle of the line was soft. If you notice everything from just before halftime all the way through the rest of the game, the Bills attacked that middle of the field and just drove right through that defense. Whether it be James Cook, whether it be Josh Allen, they took the middle of that field.
They did, but I actually have a theory behind everything. I think the only reason, and Tom just came back, so I think he would agree with me or disagree with me no matter the cost. What I think is going to happen is, this applies to the Pats game, is that the Patriots ruled out their entire playbook and pretty much accidentally exposed it. So that way Buffalo can be like, okay, they do this, they do that. Okay, let's not do that in the second half. Let's just make them work for it. And notice how the Bills got so conservatively within the defensive pairings. The defensive backs got better. Pass rushing unit was just incredible in the second half. I think they do it intentionally, just so that, I remember this happened in Super Bowl 51 with the Falcons, where they were up 28-3. Their entire playbook went out the window at that first half, and the Patriots exposed them, and they blew a 25-point lead.
No, there was some kind of electrical issue, and the lights went out.
Yeah.
It was like, what the fuck? Only that happens for the Patriots.
It's unbelievable, really. Like, I can't fathom that. But so before I get to my next comment, I just want to give a huge shout out to Gil Martin from Logged On Islanders and Seymour Knox IV for coming on the show tonight. We appreciate you guys, your insight and your takes. We love it, and we love you guys, and we would love to have you on again at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Always great having them both on, and I know if you guys haven't had a chance to take a look at the interviews that we did with both of them actually a while back, feel free to go onto the YouTube page or wherever you stream, and of course check it out. And we did about a little over an hour with both, and certainly a great time. So, yeah. And actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back on. So I'm going to log out real quick, come back on. I will be right back.
Oh, great. He's going to shark off now.
He's disappearing again.
God damn it.
And then Larry came in and said, just hope Allen doesn't get hurt like Mahomes by having to carry their offense. Shut your mouth. And then Jay said, I was referring to Buffalo Bob because he brags about the Sabres so much.
I do not.
Wow.
If anybody, this fucking idiot below me does that for me. So
yeah, coming from the ex-Sabres fan here.
Yeah. So the Ginger Hammer, are you coming to Saturday's game?
I am actually not coming to Saturday's game, and the only reason being is because I do have some commitments earlier in the day, so unfortunately I'm not able to, but I will.
Look, the Sabres come first.
Yeah, but no, I do have a couple things going on earlier in the day, but obviously I am going to be watching it. So
that's all right. I cheaped out for this game because I'm like, it's on top of the holidays. The ticket prices were a little higher than normal. I was like, I'm just getting 300 level.
Yeah.
So I got to get 3 tickets.
Yeah. I actually, honestly, I don't mind sitting in the 300 level, quite honestly. So
neither do I. I actually got second row. And if I had seasons, I would either get that first or second row in the corner.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite view.
Yeah. Like a lot of times, one of my go-tos when I'm in the KeyBank Center, usually section 314 or section 310, a lot of times I'll go up there and I mean, I've sat all the way at the top before, but even still, I mean, great sight lines from up there, and you get a lot of the really cool fans as well. So, no complaints about that. I will say this, and Bob can probably attest to this. The upper deck at the KeyBank Center is way more comfortable than the upper deck at PPG Arena in Pittsburgh.
I would agree to an extent, but the only reason probably why you would sit so high up at a Sabres game, just so you get a good view for when the Sabres get their ass kicked every night. You walked right into that, buddy. And yes, I will digress. I will confess. Yes, I was a Sabres fan, but I'm not born in Buffalo. I was never born in Buffalo.
Right.
I was born and raised in Long Island, so I'm not really a bandwagon fan by any means. I was always an Islander fan, secondarily, but primarily it's now the Islanders because, for one, I don't have the kind of connection I did have with the Sabres than I did when I was a kid. Now it's completely digressed, but I still followed the team no matter how young I was at that time. Like I still have my memorabilia from like 2004. So it's not like I said, fuck it, I'm going to root for the Panthers or something like that.
Oh, God. Wouldn't that be something? But no, just kind of coming back to it, though. I mean, no, it's always a fun time in the upper deck. I mean, it's probably one of my favorite spots in the arena. And over Jay says, why ain't we talking about the Jets? Because the Jets suck.
Want to talk about the New York Jets?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, we're talking about the New York Jets. That's where we're on. But yeah. And then he says, Buffalo Bob, you got a Carolina Panthers gear, though. Yeah, because I told you, I went to a Panthers game in Charlotte to see the Bills. Yeah. And then he finally said, the truth comes out at Buffalo Bob. Hashtag Sabres fan.
Sabres fan. Yeah. Well, actually, and I will say this, for anyone that does want to go back a long ways, I mean, here's the thing. Anyone who's followed us for the first 5 years, Bob was always an Islanders fan. He was always a Sabres fan at the time as well. He decided to go strictly Islanders based on how the Sabres were performing. And hey, he's got every right to do it. So it's just one of those. He was always a fan of both clubs, and he decided to align with one, and that's how it all worked out. But he is still a Bills fan, obviously. So, that part's good because he hates the Jets and he hates the Giants. So that part's all good. So it all works out. We still got him at least for one Buffalo team, which is a good thing. So
because I'm not stupid enough to root for the fucking Jets compared to Damien, who he roots for the Giants, which we have to still get to them, by the way. But
hey,
Giants.
I will still mark it down on the podcast here that I've been saying for the last 5 years that the Giants will win another Super Bowl before the Buffalo Bills.
5 years?
People mock me for that, and trust me, I don't want it to be true, because if it does come true, then why am I even rooting for the Islanders? Because they're never going to win a Stanley Cup.
Right.
Well, they almost did a few years ago when if all they had to do was win Game 7 against Tampa Bay, and they probably would have won.
And the Bills almost did too. 13 seconds.
Yeah, or wide right.
Yeah,
wide right. It was even closer.
Yeah. What was that, 20-19 or something?
Yep.
Yeah. And the Giants almost beat the Ravens. Oh, wait, never mind. That wasn't even fucking close in the Super Bowl.
No, that wasn't even close.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And then Jay said, who would win a Super Bowl first, the Bills or the Ravens? That's a great question, I think both of them are phenomenal. I know Baltimore is shit this year, but traditionally, the Ravens are a consistent playoff team. The Bills are in the same category. I think realistically, as of this recording, right now, I think the Bills have a better shot to win the Super Bowl.
Right. And they actually have a better shot this year potentially, too, because, of course, the Ravens are going to be out. Kansas City's already out. And Kansas City lost Mahomes, so he's going to move on with the ACL. So
since he's out,
New England, we don't know how they're going to be getting into the playoffs at this point, but we know that they're going to be at least in the first round. Miami's done.
Well, playoffs are a whole nother beast. Like New England's ready to crown May like the next Brady. It's like, let's see how he does in the playoffs first. I mean, look at Lamar Jackson. He's a great player in the regular season, and then come playoffs, he disappears.
Right. And Josh Allen's won playoff games before, so we know he can show up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I look at it like this. The Bills always lost in the playoffs to the same damn team every year, Kansas City. Kansas City was their kryptonite, was the equivalent to the Capitals with the Penguins. They can always get passed by everybody else, but they can never beat the Penguins. This is Buffalo's best chance to win the Super Bowl this year, bar none. And I think it's gotten to a point now where the Bills are acknowledging we have a very good chance to win the Super Bowl this year, let alone go to one. So I think the league is counting on Buffalo at this point to go to the Super Bowl. And I'm not even just saying that because I'm a Bills fan. I'm saying this because think of everything that's happening here. Josh Allen just became a dad, or he's going to be a dad. The Bills are getting a new stadium, and the Super Bowl is in San Francisco. And Josh Allen is from Firebug, and he grew up a 49ers fan. So there's a very strong possibility that everything, like all the stars are aligning to that direction with the Bills.
Right. It very well could be. And if it's going to be any time, this is the year to do it. Now it's just we have to make sure that offense stays on all cylinders, and we have to make sure defensively, of course, we hold down the fort. We have to look at the run defense. We've got to get wide receivers involved. We can't just be relying on Knox and of course our tight end Kincaid. But we do also have to get healthy. That's one of the biggest things going forward. Now, at least this week, Cleveland, again, don't take them lightly. It should be a fairly easy win for the Bills, but don't take them lightly and don't play them off as an easy win, because Cleveland has made life difficult for the Bills in the past, and they have made life difficult for other teams.
Oh yeah, the Bills are an 8.5-point favorite, but yes, definitely do not take them lightly. The Bills can also clinch a playoff spot with a win against the Browns, and the Colts either lose or tie to the 49ers, or the Texans lose or tie to the Raiders.
Right.
So a win is huge this week.
Yeah, and I would say Indy's got more of a chance to lose than Houston would against the Raiders, honestly, in that sense. And
I don't know. I think Phillip Rivers is going to go off for 400 yards, 5 TDs.
He could. I mean, he looked pretty good last week. So, and actually, Larry ends up having a couple comments here too. And one of the things he ended up mentioning is that, he said he hopes Allen doesn't get hurt like Mahomes by having to carry the offense. And he also
we did go through those. Yeah. Sorry.
And they mentioned it's a trap game.
See, I don't disagree with it being a trap game per se, but let's be honest with ourselves. They let the Bears score 31 fucking points on them. Let's be honest with ourselves here.
The Bears are good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
one of the better teams in NFC North this year.
Any other year, it would have been the complete opposite.
That's my dark horse, baby, the Bears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Amazing what a coaching change does, how they change the culture in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Usually that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually how it works. But, yeah, no, Damon, you want to tell us a little bit about the Giants game this past week? I know it means nothing at this point, but you want to just break it down?
Sure, why not? It's almost over. It's almost over, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait. But, of course, they ended up losing to the Washington Commanders 29-21. They were never really in the game. They did waive their kicker, Young Hoku, the one that made that stupid play where he looked like he was going to kick it and then decided, I don't really want to kick it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gone. About the only good thing that came out of this game was their 3rd overall pick last year, Abdul Carter, finally got his shit together.
Mm-hmm.
He had a sack fumble, actually, 7 total tackles. He only had a sack and a half going into that game all season and only 4 tackles. So that was a monster game from him. Giants fans have been looking for him to finally step up. He was suspended twice this season for being late and sleeping through team walkthroughs.
Oh, geez.
So maybe this is the turning point. But like Lawrence Taylor actually came out and said, let's see him prove it a little bit more than just 1 week.
Right.
So that's what we're looking forward to. They're going to be at home against Minnesota this weekend. The Giants are still a 3-point underdog, even though they're at home. Like I said, I'm fine if they lose the rest of the season. Right now, they're in that spot for the 1st overall pick. And they don't necessarily need the 1st overall pick, but maybe they could trade down and get some more assets and start building towards the future.
Right. And plus, of course, with the offseason that you guys are going to have, new head coaching coming in, new staff coming in. Certainly, it could be the start of a really good turnaround for you guys.
Yeah, I think it's getting there. Like I said, Dart looks pretty good. I just hope they don't kill him, which they've done okay so far. The defense is banged up. They lost their best receiver. They lost their best running back. Hopefully both of them will be ready to go for next season. So it's looking hopeful.
The optimism is definitely there, but I think they have to really start spending money because, let's face it, the Giants have not been doing that in the last few years to the point where they're not really spending money to really upgrade their team. they literally let Saquon Barkley go to free agency for nothing, and then paying all that money towards Daniel Jones, and then came back to bite them in the ass. And sure enough, Saquon goes to the Eagles, wins the Super Bowl, and then now he's having a bit of a downgrade year after, or like a Super Bowl hangover per se.
But I think that's the Maurer family. I think, like I said, the Maurer family, most of their assets are tied into the team. They're not like Steve Cohen with the Mets, where, you know, he makes his money elsewhere and this is like a side gig. For the Maurer family, their business is the Giants. And I think that it might be time for a new ownership. I mean, the Yankee fans are going through this right now with, you know, I was going to say, Hal Steinbrenner. Yeah, and they don't, and they're penny pinching, and they don't want to spend any money, and that's ridiculous because they make the most money in the league based off of sales. I mean, probably the Dodgers now, but the Yankees for many years they made the most money in the league.
They did, but now they stopped giving a shit because, let's be honest, it was really like George Steinbrenner who did most of the corresponding with all the money the Yankees have had for the last 30, 40 years. And then Hal just doesn't give a shit. He doesn't have the passion like George did. And I think that's a big factor with
he likes the money.
He does. He likes money.
But George wanted to win. George Steinbrenner wanted to win at all costs.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
he was hell bent on that.
Definitely. But speaking of the Yankees, real quick, apparently Luke Weaver, who was a rotating pitcher for the Yankees this past season, signed a 2-year deal for $22 million with the Mets.
Yeah, I like it because I know he had a down season last year, but he was injured for a lot of last season. 2 years ago, he was extremely good for the Yankees. I think it's a good deal for the Mets. I know the Mets also took a catcher from the Baltimore Orioles because they stole Alonso from us.
Right.
So we retaliated and we got Drew Romo.
And they got Jorge Polanco too.
Yeah.
Well, we got Drew Romo from the Baltimore Orioles. But I guess he was a high draft pick, very good defensive catcher, but his hitting has kind of stalled the last 2 years. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, change of scenery might be a good thing. And plus, I mean, the Mets need to boost up their pitching roster a little bit as well, too. Because, I mean, especially with where they've been in the rotation and what they've lost the last couple of years. And, of course, with Senga being hurt as much as he has, they really have to boost that at this point, especially if they're going to try to go deep into the playoffs again. And then same thing, I mean, defensively, they do have to get better, especially out in the outfield, too. So, I mean, there's definitely areas that they can improve. I mean, hitting, they're fairly decent, but again, it's just defensively.
Yeah, well, we just got rid of most of our hitting, so we'll see how.
Yeah, so that's the other thing to look at. So they're gonna have to do some stuff this offseason and really just kind of rebuild that roster and really start getting things going. But one of the things we also wanted to talk a little bit about before we announce our guest that's going to be coming up next, of course, so we'll talk a little bit about the Christmas special coming up, is we've got good old crunch time coming up here, guys.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to it, honestly, because just for the record, our Christmas special, that's usually like at the end of the first half of the season of the show. We usually go into our normal bullshit, but it's on a Tuesday this time of the year because Christmas Eve is on a Wednesday this year, so we're not recording on Christmas Eve, so do not expect any of us to be there. We will be here on the 23rd of December, which is on Tuesday in the next few days or so. So we're going to have less topics to talk about, but we're going to definitely have a lot more holiday cheer. That's for damn sure.
Yep. And anyone who's been part of the Christmas special before knows that we like to have some fun with it. And then, of course, we will be off until early January. So basically, just to give you an idea, we will not be on New Year's Eve, but we will be back on January 7th. So sorry, guys, you'll be missing us for a week and a half. But, hey, it's the one time a year we actually take a little break.
Yeah, we'll try to survive it. Maybe go and watch some of our older videos just to keep you company.
Yeah, or check out the recent Road to 32. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Pittsburgh Penguins edition up, so you can always check that out.
Or some of the interviews would be good too.
Yeah. You can always watch some of the recent ones. In fact, actually, we have one of them that's going to be coming released actually right after the Christmas special as well. So, of course, we'll talk to you about that, and we'll release that information in just a few moments here.
Yeah, so I think, at this point, before we get to our guest announcement, what do you think is going to happen in the playoffs? Like, do you think who's going to make the final cut to make the playoffs?
Well, I will say at least the Bills, I'm counting them to make it in. I mean, I think they will do it. And definitely it's going to be an interesting run. It'd be interesting to see who they match up with. I will say, if we have to face Houston again, oh God.
I hope not.
I really hope.
I don't think they're going to play Houston. Well, if you don't want to play Houston, then you cannot win the division.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They got to win.
Yeah, but if I had to pick one team that potentially has a chance to make some sort of noise in the playoffs, that could, if they make it, I would not be surprised. And this is going to sound like a fucking joke, but believe me, I think the Carolina Panthers could actually make some noise if they make the playoffs, because that division is such a joke. But it's like the Buccaneers couldn't hold on to their own lead in the division. The Panthers lost to the fucking Saints, not once but twice. But if they were to make it to the playoffs, they're probably going to get massacred by whoever they play.
I don't know. The Panthers only have a 43% chance of making the playoffs if they win this week.
Yeah. And Detroit is not that far behind either. I mean, Green Bay right now is in deep shit because losing Micah Parsons for the year with a torn ACL, that is a huge loss. Yeah, that is a huge loss.
Yeah. And it was interesting, too. 2 ACL tears on the same day because it was him and Mahomes. Yeah. Mahomes had surgery the other day.
Yep. And who knows at this point what's going to happen. But who do you think, in your opinions, AFC or NFC, who do you think has a very good chance to make a deep run in the playoffs?
I don't know. I still like the 49ers. I know everybody gives me shit for that, but I still like the 49ers in the NFC.
Tom, how about you?
It's a toss-up. I mean, I would expect Philly to make a run, but they've been so all over the place this year, I really can't pinpoint them one way or the other. But one of the things, and actually Dave mentioned this earlier, don't be surprised if the Chicago Bears actually make noise in the playoffs. Don't be surprised. They are a sneaky good team this year, and they've won some good games. So I wouldn't mind seeing how they do, and wouldn't mind seeing them make that good run. So I mean, that's very possible. And then
that'd be great.
Yeah, and if everything aligns for the Bills, hopefully, it's our year. I mean, it'd be great. Great way to close out the old stadium, open the new, and have that Super Bowl banner in the trophy.
We got a bunch of new comments too.
Yeah. Larry says, just for the money like the Dodgers having $1 billion in the next 20 years for 9 players.
Yeah. Well, baseball's heading for a lockout, and I'm for it because the Dodgers are just out of control.
Yep. And he also said that you couldn't trust Weaver in the playoffs.
And he also says he couldn't trust Weaver in the playoffs, so is he really good or bad?
Yeah. And then Jay gave us a list of stats for Weaver. Weaver has a 3.62 ERA in 2025.
Yeah. He wasn't very good, but like I said, he had a lot of injuries this year.
Yeah, and Larry says, shame, only podcast I listen to. Well, hey, listen to some of our older stuff for a week. It's all good. We're not going bye-bye forever. It's only 1 week.
Yeah, you'll be okay. And plus, also keep in mind, even though we're on Christmas break, we're not going on the air, but we are doing some behind-the-scenes stuff, and that's including interviews. So that's content for you guys for the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got some stuff coming up, even scheduled further out. So, and Jay says, see, Dame, I told you Buffalo Bob's a Panther fan.
Yeah, see? Fucking knew it, dude. Just admit it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I am totally right. I am a Panthers fan, so to the point where I have a fucking Bills tattoo on my arm. Yeah.
Yeah, but show them the Carolina Panther one on your ass.
Homer Simpson is a Carolina Panthers fan.
Yeah.
You ever see that episode with The Simpsons where he's traveling and he's like, I'm trying these goofy new foods and going to these places with my Carolina Panthers credit card.
Mm-hmm.
Panthers.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there was a time he was a Bills fan and predicted the Bills will win the Super Bowl. So who knows? But a lot of the predictions on The Simpsons somehow come true. And Jay says, funny. Yeah, Jay says 49ers and Packers deep run.
Well, I was actually going to say, I was not allowed to watch The Simpsons growing up as a kid. So I never really got into it, even as an adult.
It wasn't even that bad.
I know.
Lord.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't my choice.
Imagine if the Family Guy was back then. He would have definitely not seen that.
Let me put it this way. When I was a kid, I was not allowed to watch The Simpsons. I was not allowed to watch South Park for obvious reasons. And I was not allowed to watch Family Guy. But I actually had to sneak around that for a little bit until I was a little older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Family Guy was always pretty funny. But then, of course, I remember Beavis and Butthead way back. And now they've got new episodes that are actually funnier than the original. So... Yeah, they've got some fun stuff on Comedy Central. So I will say, of course, just want to give a shout out to two friends of the show here. Our friend Sophia did really well with her surgery today. We're glad she's doing better, and onward and upward for you. Our friend Meredith with her transplant doing well also. So onward and upward with you as well. We hope you both have a great holiday. The show's going to send you some stuff. So we just want to tell you both, we love you both. We are thinking of you, and hope you guys continue to get well. So with that being said, let's talk about who's coming up next on the show, because we want to introduce who our next guest is, which is going to premiere next week.
Yep. So we guys are going to get 3 chances. I'll give you guys a few minutes who this is going to be before we unveil it, because Damien already knows it because he was there.
Yeah.
And
I already know.
Yeah, we know, but we want you, the viewers who are watching the show, to guess who the next guest is going to be. So here you go. Here are your 3 guesses. Your first guess is that he's a 4-time Stanley Cup champion with the New York Islanders. He was there for all their cups in the 1980s. Guess number 2, he won the Bill Masterton Award in 1987 with the Kings. And finally, guess number 3, he's in the Islanders Hall of Fame, even though his jersey is not retired. So that is your 3 guesses for who the next episode or the next interview is going to be on I-86 After Dark. And honestly...
Is it Sparky?
It is not Sparky. And it's not Seymour.
Right. And we know it's not Grimace.
Oh, God.
Oh, Grimace would be great, dude.
Yeah, really.
Messy to bring him back.
Yeah, really. Yep. And at least it's not Gritty from the Flyers.
Yep. So we'll give you guys a few minutes to guess who it is. So again, he played for the Islanders for all 4 of the Cups in the 80s. He won the Bill Masterton Award, and his name is inducted into the Hall of Fame, but his jersey number is not. So those are your 3 guesses of who our next guest is going to be on 96 After Dark. So. For the record, it is not fucking Grimace. So, no thank you, Tom.
Right.
Yeah, I will not even talk to fucking Grimace. And it's because I have, I've said it before, I have masclophobia. It's a fear of mascots. I do not handle it very well.
Can you do that face one more time again?
Yeah, there you go.
Is that what you were looking for?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know you were thinking about that, Damien, you fucking bitch.
Well,
but
while we're sitting here waiting to see if anybody's going to put one in, like I said, we got our meetup coming up this Saturday before the Sabres game. We're going to be at the Foxborough House, Buffalo. We got a couple tables reserved. All you got to do is free. Just come in, stop on by, have a beer, have an app, whatever. Just say hi. We're going to be hanging out there for about 2 hours before the game.
Definitely.
Can never go wrong with their soft pretzel with the beer cheese or the mustard.
Oh, yeah. I'll be having one of those and a couple big-ass beers.
Yeah, Tom, you should go to that. Meet up with Damien.
I might. I mean, if I have some time for it,
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there from 2 to 4. So
okay. Cool. Yeah, get some German food too on top of it.
Yep. So, you guys ready to see who our next guest is going to be?
Yeah, let's do it because I don't see any comments here in the feed. So let's go ahead and announce it.
All right. So with that being said, coming up on I-86 After Dark is Bob Bourne. Yep, we're having Bob Bourne come on the show on I-86 After Dark next Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I got to tell you, Davey and I had a blast doing this interview.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That interview was awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it was your first one since coming on as well. So, no, great time you guys had, and certainly it's worth the watch. So, yeah, 10 p.m. Eastern, right after the show. So you get to watch us, and then you get another hour of us.
Yeah, I would definitely talk to him again because I actually just finished his son Jason Bourne's book, Down and Back, and Alcohol, Family, and Life in Hockey. So it was a really good book. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, I definitely would.
We actually had a participant for who was going to be on the show, and it's actually from Jay. He said, tough. I'm going to say Bob Nystrom. He was very close. Who hit the winning goal against the Flyers in 1980, and that started it for the Islanders. And funny enough, my dad, who's been a season ticket holder for 35 years, was actually at all the big games for the history of the Islanders, from Mike Bossy for 50-50, and including this game, 1980 against the Flyers. My dad was at the lower section of the bowl at the Coliseum.
It is close, but Nystrom does have his number retired.
Yes. And again, the word was his jersey is not retired. So, sorry, Jay, but good try. And he said, damn, I got it wrong. But that's okay. So just keep in mind, next Tuesday at 8 p.m. is our Christmas special. And hopefully we see you, Damien. I know Tom will be there. And
it should be here.
Yeah, it should be. But in general, we'll be releasing the interview with Bob Bourne on Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which it takes place around the time we wrap up the show. So if you're feeling jolly, listen to that interview. It was a fucking amazing time. I'll say that for sure.
Absolutely. And then 2 quick things that just came out in the NFL. So the New Orleans Saints have signed former Bills running back Nyheim Hines. Because, of course, Alvin Kamara is out with ankle and knee injuries. Devin Neal is out, so we might be seeing him get some playing time. And then, of course, sorry, Miami Dolphins fans, Tua just got benched.
And they just released Matthew Judon.
Yeah. So good luck, Tua. Your time's coming to an end. And Mike McDaniel, I'll be surprised if he lasts after this season.
Yeah, he's as good as gone.
At this point,
absolutely.
yeah.
And then, of course, don't forget about Powerball. Actually, I'm going to run and grab a ticket before they stop selling them at 10. So I'm going to do that. Well, I have a place 2 minutes up the street from me, so it's all easy. But before we wrap up, any other thoughts that you guys want to throw in?
Other than, I'm excited for the holiday special next week. It's going to be a good one. I can't wait to see what the interview does for Bob Bourne. So I'm pretty damn excited for it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun interview. I really enjoyed myself on that interview. We got a little deep in parts, so I was like, all right. Had to pull back a little bit, but it was a fun interview.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I think it was their second one, actually. Now that I think about it,
it was my second one.
Interview.
Jigs was my first one.
Yeah, Jigs was your first. And then years ago, Tom and I, our first one, I think, was Clint Malarchuk.
Yeah, that was the first one we did together. Yeah, and I remember that was like 5 years ago, I think, or something like that. It's been a while.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I actually still have his number in my cell phone, surprisingly, too.
Same, yeah. I have it as well. I have to reach out to him, or you could reach out to him if you want, and we could possibly work out something with him and, do something about it.
Yeah, see if we can get him on again. It'd be great to have him. So, yeah, but that being said, of course, we're going to wrap it up for this week. And, of course, we always appreciate you guys joining us. Seymour Knox, the 4th, Gil Martin, thank you both for coming on. It was a blast having you, as always. And certainly, we'll look to have another Islanders Sabres preview as we go forward throughout the season. And then, of course, join us next Tuesday night. We're going to have the Christmas special. Join us for the Bob Warner interview after as well. And if you guys haven't had a chance to take a look, Road to 32 Pittsburgh is up on the page now as well. So, of course, we've got the Pittsburgh Penguins game and we've got the Steelers game. So if you want to check out some of the things we did during the trip, absolutely go ahead and do it. But other than that, of course, hey, it's another week. So thanks for jumping on. We appreciate it as always. And of course, take care of yourselves and each other. We will see you next week.
Have a good week, guys.